Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I'm Sarah. This is No BS Beauty. I'm going to talk about copper peptides, but really quick. If you found any of my videos helpful, please subscribe. Check out my newsletter, hit the alarm button and the like buttons, and leave a comment with your thoughts. So, today, due to popular request, I'm going to talk about copper peptide powder. Let's see, I've got tons of them. I've got an entire little box full of copper peptide powder. I will link to it below. Cameraman made this box with 3D printing, so kind of fun. So, okay, so first up, I'm going to link to these at Alibaba. I have done a lot of research. I have purchased a lot of different powders. I think it was about 6 different brands, and I had them tested at an independent lab for quantity and purity. Against 6 other similar products. This specific one that I will link to did the best. The purity was around 98 to 99% pure. Other ones did similar, a little bit not as good. This one did by far the best. Some similar options, but and in terms of price, this one's quite affordable. So I will link to it below. I have no idea how the tariff stuff works. I know each one of these is a gram of copper peptide powder, so I'll link to it below. But yeah, I had it tested about a year ago, probably 14 months ago, the end of last summer. Several of them tested, and this one from, I think it's called Sonwu Laboratories, came back the best quantity and purity. So, okay, so I purchased these, and I love to use these to mix in and kind of create my own custom products because I have a lot of copper peptide product favorites. Copper peptides are so great for your skin. So they boost collagen and elastin production in skin. They help with wound healing and repair, which is why a lot of people use them in conjunction with microneedling, during microneedling treatments, after microneedling treatments, after lasers, things like that, because it's so good at helping the skin heal. People will sometimes use them on cuts and things. I used them after I got my ears pierced a couple of years ago. I used them after the healing period to kind of help them heal up faster. They help strengthen the skin barrier. They're great antioxidants, protecting your skin from damage, free radical damage. They improve skin texture and tone. They help with inflammation, and last but not least, they also have some benefits with hair follicle and scalp and hair growth. It's not crazy like some people will overstate it, like you'll grow a beard if you use it. No, it doesn't happen like that, but it can help with hair follicle growth and things like that. So it makes it an interesting ingredient to add to some other products that I'm going to talk about. So wonderful product. I love it. Some people are naysayers of peptides, copper peptides, and I think they're on the wrong side of science on this, but it's still, I mean, they're still relatively new. Copper peptides were founded by Dr. Lauren Picard in, I think, 1978-ish or so. So they're still relatively new ingredient, but I think they are, for me, I notice a huge difference when I use it. And I think if you haven't tried copper peptides and you give them a month or two, you will notice it. But you have to be patient, and it's not going to work overnight. And there are still a lot of naysayers, but I think history is going to prove them wrong, because I think these really are some of the best products. People use them in a variety of ways. I've heard of people making, these are topical, but I've heard of people making, what would you call it, like a nasal mist out of them, but these are topical. You don't want to do anything ingesting them. I've heard of people taking copper peptide supplements. I don't think those do anything. Your stomach acid is so strong, and peptides they're not as fragile as people say they are, but they are, stomach acid is very low pH, and it's very acidic, and I don't think you can do much with it, but people do a lot of different things with them. So I'm talking about topical. I'm not talking about oral supplements or anything like that with it. So, okay. So my favorite, purchased these. I think I got 50 grams. How many do I have left? I've got about 20 left. And so my favorite use for it used to be mixing 2 of these in with the Costa Baja Hyaluronic Acid Serum and using this on my body right after I got out of the shower. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this brand, if it has to do with something in the US or if this brand, it kind of looks like this brand is being phased out or their website isn't active and things like that. So, and they have a ton of products. So this is my favorite. I'm going to find an alternative to it, but this was my favorite use of it. I've used these on my body for firming and things like that and hydration. I can tell a difference when I don't use a little bit of copper peptides in my body moisturizer. My skin gets rougher, it gets more flaky, it's more easily irritated and itchy and things like that. So I think Stylebana still had a couple of these left. So now, as the alternative to it, I've been mixing it in with the Vanicream Moisturizing Lotion. I will link to these below. And this one's got a thicker texture to it, so it's not quite as easy. And what I liked about the Costa Baja was that there's 3 ingredients in this. So it made it pretty easy to mix in and not play scientist. Because when you start mixing it in with products that have a lot of other ingredients, you start to become a scientist, and it's not necessarily a good thing. It's more simple ingredients when you're mixing things is better. So that's something to consider. So I've got to find a dupe for it. But this was just always so affordable and easy to mix in and pump bottle, easy, great, all that stuff. So, and sometimes if you mix too much, it can make the product really watery. So you don't want to mix too much in. And if you mix too little in sometimes in a very thick product, it can make it kind of solid, so you don't want to do that. So I've been mixing a couple grams in with my Vanicream moisturizer right now. I don't like this as much as the Costa Baja. I will find something more similar to the Costa Baja because I like to use this. I'd get right out of the shower, I'd be damp, I'd apply it, it would soak in quickly, and then I apply a thicker cream. And this one just isn't my favorite, so I need to find an alternative to it, but I'm working on that. But for now, this is okay. It's good enough. My favorite to mix in is the Ordinary Multi-Peptide Copper Peptide Serum. This one has 1% copper peptides, and I like to hit that sweet spot of about 2% copper peptides. 3% is on the higher edge, and it can become too much. There is too much of a good thing, and with copper peptides, anything more than 3% is too much of a good thing, and you can end up kind of having your skin look worse as opposed to better. I think they call it the copper uglies or copper peptide uglies. I don't know. So what I do is this comes at a formula of 1%. I usually mix in about half to a third of this into this, and it creates about 2%. Might be a little bit higher than 2%. And yeah, so I mix it in with this, and it makes it a little bit stronger because I really like the 2%. But I love this formula because it's so full of good other peptides and amino acids. So I love this formula. I wish it were 2%. So that's what I do with that. So they do mention it can have some positive benefits for scalp and follicles. So I mix a small amount into this serum, which is also from The Ordinary. It's their multi-peptide serum for hair density, which I used to use on its own a lot. Not for hair density so much, just for dry scalp, and it really helps with that. So with this, I'd mix in about another half a tube into this. You don't want to mix too much because it's on your hair, and if it's too much copper peptides, it ends up being dry and your scalp can end up looking kind of blue, and it's not a good look. So I mix in a very, very tiny amount of that in here. So you can see it has a light blue look, and it's still got that liquid texture to it. And for lash serum, I mix in a very, very, very tiny amount into my multi-peptide serum. Actually, these are all from The Ordinary. That's kind of weird. I didn't plan it like that. I guess I didn't quite realize I was using it mostly in The Ordinary products. It kind of didn't occur to me until just now. But anyway, so I mix in a very, very tiny amount into this serum, and then I'd use it on my eyebrows. So I don't know. It doesn't really have a blue tint to it at all because I mix such a small amount in. You don't want too much, especially on your eyes. I don't necessarily know that copper peptides can help with the eyelashes per se, but I do think it can help with my scalp and hair growth and just my scalp in general, which can get pretty dry and itchy, especially during the winter. So I found it's pretty helpful in this in the winter. I don't necessarily know about the eyelashes. I don't know. For eyelash actual growth, I didn't find this to be the next best thing. Where is it? Hang on. Oh, here we go. This one I think I got from Nurex or something. It's just the generic Latisse. This really is beneficial for eyelash growth, and they give you this and then some brushes. I wish it just came with one applicator. I get the need for, it seems a little annoying, but anyway, so this one works best for lash growth. I wouldn't necessarily say mix any copper peptides in with that because, again, I don't want to play scientist. I like to work with something like this that is a minimal ingredient list or something like this that already has copper peptides. I wouldn't say mixing it into other solutions would be beneficial, like, for example, the Theramid Copper Peptide or the Niode one. I wouldn't mix it in with these because these have a different type of texture, and I think the Niode uses a different form of copper peptide, so I would use something that uses the basic copper peptides, not a salt form or a form that's combined with any other ingredients, because you just don't know how the preservatives and all of that will mesh. So it's better to use something that already uses something similar. So these are my recommendations, and yeah, I just love being able to use it on my body. I haven't really found a body serum with copper peptides that was I guess I haven't found one at all. And if there was one, I would feel it'd be quite expensive because copper peptides are pretty pricey. So that's why it's nice to buy it right from the vendor. So yeah, so I will link to all this below, but a lot of you asked for a video discussing it, how to do it. And yeah, don't go too crazy. It's better to put in too little than too much. You can't turn back too much. It's like baking cookies. If you add too much butter, I don't know, because there's such thing as too much butter in cookies anyway. Salt. If you mix in too much salt, it's hard to undo it. It's better to put in too little salt and add more. So that's the same rule with skincare and copper peptides and things like this. So there's a lot of great ingredients in copper peptide I found really super beneficial for me. I love using it at night, not so much during the daytime. I prefer using it at night. And if I use it in the same routine with like retinol, I'll let the copper peptides soak in for a minute or two, give it a minute, and then use the retinol or use something in between them. I don't use it with exfoliants. Exfoliants pH typically is lower, and I feel like the pH, if it's super low and you apply it really close with the copper peptides, it could break the bonds. If you apply an exfoliant, give it 15-20 minutes. Maybe apply something neutral in between. You could probably get away with it, but don't apply an exfoliant serum and then immediately the copper peptides. I don't think that's the best way to do it and to get the most bang for your buck. You know, give it some time in between. Same thing with vitamin C. You know what I mean? If you're going to use vitamin C and copper peptides in your routine, apply your vitamin C, give it 10 minutes, maybe apply a light serum in between, and then the copper peptides. But I think using in the evening is what I do. I definitely, unless I've done microneedling the night before, I don't use copper peptides in the daytime. It just seems to work out better for me using it at night. So anyway, I think I hit on everything I wanted to touch on, but leave your thoughts and questions. I'm sure there'll be some good questions and thoughts below. Leave them, and I will get back to you. And thanks so much, and I will see you guys more tomorrow. Okay, bye guys.